Now, another approach we could take for implementing component communication is to implement a hybrid pattern. For instance, we could use setters for intercepting input property changes. So this allows us to intercept a value when the parent passes the value down, and then maybe run some custom logic. For instance, we could trigger an animation. We could log a value to the console, or some kind of information. We could perform some kind of data validation before the value actually updates in the child component. So here we have a small infographic giving us an overview of what we might do with this. So this hybrid pattern uses setters to intercept and react to input property changes. We could have input decorator, which define a setter using the input decorator to modify a property within a component, and then our setter method. Here we have this input decorator, and then we create our setter method here, and then we handle whatever we hope to achieve inside the body of our setter method. And then we had logic to react to the new value as needed. So this approach combines the simplicity of property setters with the power to react to changes, and it enhances encapsulation. So without much ado, let's go back to our code and let's see how we might implement this. I'm going to start in the navbar component, which is one of our child components. So here, instead of just a property, we can use a private variable and then a set function. So here we can trigger some kind of animation each time our count changes, or when a threshold is met, depending on how we handle this. So let's begin with inside our navbar component, let's set a private variable here. We can do private count, set that to 0, and then let's have a boolean is updating. Let's set that to false to begin with, and then let's intercept our input change. Intercept input change. So here we can use our input decorator and then our set method. So let's call that notification count. Okay. This is going to take an input. Let's call this value. The type is number, and then we need to import this. So that has been imported, and then in here let's log some information to the console. Let's do intercepted new count, and then let's set that to the value. Okay, and then here let's add the custom logic for the animation. Let's this dot updating equals to true. We have to updating has to be true first, and then we can set a set timer for handling the animation. So let's set timeout. I was hoping this would 100 milliseconds. Okay, let's do that. And then in here, okay, I can just do this dot up is updating. Let's set that to first. Okay, I think that's done. Then let's undo the count, set that to the value of our notification count. So we're going to use this setter method to pass to receive input from our parent component, which is going to be our app component later on. So we have to set another method, but it's going to be a getter method. So we're going to use this to display count, and then here we can return this dot the private variable. Okay, I think we're about done for this, and let's undo. No, we have to do something in our components. We have to prepare our component to receive the inputs. So in our component, first thing we want to do, we want to use this ng directive, and then we want to say, okay, only if display count is greater than 0 do we want to display the count here. So we can do display count. Okay, so that undoes that. And for our animation, there are two ways of doing this. I can use the ng class inbuilt directive, or I can use something like this. Use class dot the name of the class pause. Then I can pass the boolean is updating here. So pause is going to be the name of our class. This syntax is shorter. If I were to do ng class, if I were to do this, then instead of doing this, I would be doing something like this. The name of the class, and then what is it called? The boolean is updating. So this is another way we could handle this. So we're gonna define I'm gonna give properties to this class later on, but I prefer this anyway. I'm gonna do class dot pause, then I'm just going to do is updating here. Is updating that boolean. I need to be sure it's okay. It's updating. Okay, so I think that's that for our navbar component. Now let's go to, we're going to create this class later on to see about the animation. Let's go to our counter control. What is it? Okay, so in here in our counter control, like before, we're going to emit some event. We're going to have some event emitter here. So we have output for our event emitter. So we can have let's call this on action. And then we do new event emitter. Do we have this so that I can just import it like that? This is going to be a number. Okay, and we can have another output. Maybe we should call this on reset. No, then new event emitter. It's going to be void, like so. Okay, now we need to undo this in our template. So let's go to counter.html, and then here for gonna have some click event. So this is going to be on action.emit. Since is a decrement, I'm going to set that to -1. And then this one click event as well. So we're gonna do on action dot emit let's 1. So since it's for addition, and then for reset, we're gonna have another click event here. So this is going to be on reset dot emit. So this is reset counter. Okay, that's about it for our counter control component. Now let's go to our parent component app.ts. In our app.ts, what can we do here in our app.ts? Okay, so we can set total to 0 and then update count. This is going to update our count. It takes an input number, and then we can update this total using math.max from 0 and then to the value of our updated data plus the inputs, the value of this input delta. So as we click, this just updates. So we can't go below 0. So that's what this is saying. The minimum value is 0 here. Okay, so having done this, we have to undo some business in our app.html. Now we need to pass input to our app navbar, and navbar is expecting input named notification count. Remember, this is our input decorator. So let me just copy this. So go to our app.html, and then we're going to pass this input here. Okay, now we have to set it to the data that we are passing from our app.ts. So the data is total, so we just pass total here. Okay, so that's for our navbar. Then for our app counter control, this is going to emit events. Oh, sorry. Yeah, this is emitting some events via this click event. So it's emitting value or data, if you like, to the parent component. So we have to handle that here as well. So we can do here. What am I doing? Okay. Now we can do on action, and then this is going to be equals to update count, and then we're going to pass the payload using the special variable event. We also have another reset. So let's just set total to 0 here. Okay, I think that's about it. So we're handling the event here in our app counter control. So while the app counter is sending data via the output decorator using event emitter, our app.ts is receiving that data via this update count method. So you realize that here we are passing the update count method, and this is just for our reset. For our reset, we're going back to total equals to 0. So the event emitter for the reset is this on reset. Hope that makes sense. So I'm just going to save, and then let's see if we didn't get any error. Okay, no error at the minute. Let's go to our browser. So our conditional statement for rendering says we only want to render display count when the display is greater than 0. So let's try. Okay, so now we have 1, we have 2, 3. We can decrement, we can reset. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Now if you go to our console, okay, I think I didn't handle this current count, so it's intercepting count. All right, so let's go to our counter control.html. Is it that? No, that should be inside app.html. Yeah, current count should be display count. No, total. No, sorry, it's gonna be total. Okay, let's save this. Okay, so now we have this. So if I increment 4, so you see we are intercepting this in our console. Intercept a new count 6. If I decrement, intercept a new count 5, 4, 3, 2. Now let's see about. Okay, let me increase this 4. Okay, now pay attention to this. I'm going to create a class for handling our animation, so that we see how the animation works for our navbar. So the name of our class for the animation, we call it pause. So here in navbar.css, I'm going to do pause. Let's do transform scale. Let's scale by 1.4, and then let's have transition. Transition. Let's do 0.1 second. So I'm going to save. Now if you go back here, pay attention to this. If I do increment, now it scales. The scaling occurs what is it called? The scaling occurs right milliseconds before our value updates. an decrement as well, and we still get the interception in our console like so. Okay, this may look unexciting, but then if you were to implement this approach in a large application, then maybe you appreciate this even more. So guys, that's all for this tutorial. I'm gonna see you guys the next video. So thanks for watching.